Looked at Zoun and said that's the second best player in the open bracket. So mentally, I think this is a very tough series to start, but he seemed in a good mood, as Loco touched upon briefly as well, and I'm ready for this one.
Oh, I certainly am as well. Down in the bottom left, representing Poland, it is Spirit.
I think we have to mention it then. For the first time today, it's snowy, it's chilly. We have loaded into altitude. This map is incredibly big, but we'll talk more about that soon. In the top right side, the man who started in the lower bracket round 1, but he is here still in the qualifying best of 5. One of the favorites to make it into the round of 24. Alpha Axis Zoun.
You know, I was actually talking to Spirit a lot because, like Loco mentioned, he was in that back room and we were chatting about the previous series and even about this a little bit. And it seems like he feels like he can really take down Zoun. And I love the confidence. I love to see it. He has been playing fantastically recently.
Spirit seems to be, in general, more worried about very cheesy Protoss players than Protoss players that are willing to go up to 3 bases and get a couple of robo units out. He actually feels rather comfortable against that. And he's like, Zoun is not that cheesy, right? I was like, no, he's not particularly cheesy. Obviously, he can be aggressive. But if I think of Zoun, I think of a double robo guy. Somebody who likes to get a couple of Colossus out with extended thermal lens and is comfortable running around with these disruptors, which obviously means that this could be another long series. But yeah, I think that's the main reason why Spirit feels relatively confident, because he'd be a lot more worried about a guy that has the reputation of non-stop 4-gate blink stalker in your base. Like, he hates that stuff.
Well, I'm going to give you a little tip here, Roddy. Macro Terrans hate cheesy Protosses because the cheesy Protosses don't even know what they're supposed to do. So how are you supposed to know, right? So yeah, I totally agree. That's actually something I said to him. I'm like, I think your matchup here is better, because you play well against people who know what they're doing, right? That are playing the game correctly, Roddy, and all Terran players know there's a correct way to play this game.
Is this a Blood War analysis or a StarCraft 2 analysis?
Truly, it's both, man. Okay. They're the same game as far as Terran's concerned.
I can get behind it. I'm actually very curious to see what is Zoun's attack of choice going to be here for the first map. Obviously, since this map is so big, we're all very tempted to say Stargate, because it's funny, because we always think like, oh, Stargate units are very fast, and it's obviously good to go Stargate on a large map. But this map is so ridiculously big that if you're out of position with your Stargate units, it actually takes forever for them to get home. So Phoenixes don't even feel like they give you the same map control as they give on other large maps in the past. And Spirit is opening up triple CC here. So hey, we both are kind of right. Like, the man loves to macro. The man feels confident in the longer games. But Zoun is opening up with a Twilight Council, and we'll see where he actually takes it.
Yeah. I kind of dig this opener of the triple CC from Spirit. I like that, since it is such a big map. Like, what are the odds that Zoun is going to try to pounce on you early on? Don't think so. He is getting the quick sentry here, though, as well. And yeah, we're going to see with that Twilight. Is he just going to go directly into Blink as expected? There it is.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. I think this map is not the best for DTs right off the get-go. Spirit is playing triple CC, triple Rex. Now, I do think when you have the triple Rex follow-up, you kind of hope to maybe go up against the Stargate, because obviously you're going to have a lot of Marines. Relatively quick stim, all things considered, despite the fact that you're playing triple CC. But against, I think, Blink, it's not that bad either. Even though some Protoss players will be like, if I go up against triple CC and I know they go up triple CC and they go 3 Rex, then I will always go Blink Stalker all in. Can it work? Yeah, absolutely, because of course tank production is very late, and normally tanks are the ultimate unit to shut down Blink Stalker aggression. But I think if you just play it safe, double bunker, maybe even a triple bunker for all I care,
triple bunker, wow.
and you save, and you just get up to stim and combat shield, then you're totally fine as a Terran player. Zoun scouts it though. I think we're going to be aggressive.
You think so? I mean, he went for 3-gate, which you can be aggressive with, but it's not going to pack the punch of like a 4-gate if he had already gone for that. Yeah, no Stalkers warped in as of yet, and I saw Probe leave. Are we actually going to get a 3rd base?
Well, that's indeed what he's doing. Great Marine here, by the way. Just having this Marine here is such a lovely scout, because normally one of the downsides of this build of Spirit is that it's actually so hard to figure out what the Protoss is doing. Well, he just got a picture-perfect scout. So on paper, this is all looking really good for Spirit.
Absolutely. Like, the fact that you know that he's getting that 3rd Nexus, I mean, I guess it could be one of these weird placeholder Nexuses where you're not making probes and you're actually just going to go mass Stalker anyways. But I think you're feeling very safe right now as Spirit.
I'm with you. What have been the highlights of the day so far for you, then?
Dude, that TVT series is one of the best series I've ever seen. Like, unbelievable. Game 4, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me on Game 4? It didn't even. We were all freaking out over that game. The whole series, really.
Yep. And the fact that it started off with a 2-0 as well.
Oh, I know.
Then delivered those games.
Oof.
Yeah, it's going to be hard to top that, but hey, TVP is a great matchup, so there is a lot of potential in this series to perhaps give us something that's almost as good, as this match is about to start heating up. Stim is done, Combat Shield is very close to finishing up as well, and then we're going to get a couple of medevacs out. It seems that we're going to fire up Charge right after Blink. Zoun will most likely always go Colossus here, because a Disruptor wouldn't really make too much sense on a map this large against Triple CC.
Yeah, I think you're right about that. I mean, Blink into Charge and Colossus it's like as stable as you can really get. You're just kind of building all of the pieces of the puzzle that you need. I am very interested on exactly when he's going to get the Forge, because honestly, I feel like he could slip a Forge in right now.
I'm with you. Maybe even 2 at the same time.
2 at the same time? What is this, Wings of Liberty?
There's nothing wrong with some good old double forts. I know this entire army did stim though, and the Stalk is actually having some high ground vision there from the Observer, I believe. So we're getting a couple of extra shots off, but Spirit knows that it's all about just getting this base up and running. So I was like, hey, I've still got this Observer, still got a little bit of high ground vision. I'm going to try to get a few more shots off. Seems like he dropped the ball a little bit on losing 1 Stalker, but obviously in a game that is going to be this macro-oriented, a single Stalker here or there is not going to make the difference.
No, most likely not. And you know, a lot more gates coming up, getting the Forge as well. I gotta say, like, I definitely do like the opener that Spirit's used here. He's macroing well. I like the timing of his armory as well. I'm always a fan when Terrans actually get that and get +2 started right away. But I really like Zoun's build as well. Like, he's getting enough production that he doesn't have to be afraid, building the splash, and he did just finish his Forge.
Yep, so we're going to have to start on +1 immediately. Spirit is a big fan of Widowmine drops, and like most Terran players out there, but he always loves doing it with the factory. And this map is so large that obviously most of the time your observers will go out on the map, right? Because as Protoss, you want to know where these medevacs are coming from. But if you have the observers out on the map, that means you have no detection at home. And once that armory is done, these Widowmines are going to be permanently cloaked. And this is actually going to be very annoying to deal with. We do have 1 cannon being wiped in immediately. Ooh, nice blink there by Zoun, shutting down that medevac. Alright, he handled this about as well as any Protoss possibly could, but Spirit is not done yet.
Well, this one's going to come in. He does get that cannon started, so that's really good to see. Little recall there. Going to see if he can actually catch that shuttle as well.
Widowmine fired at a probe that went into the assimilator, by the way, so 0 kills, and this one will only get a single kill as well. But this is still definitely disrupting the Protoss economy, right? A lot of probes are being pulled all over the place, multiple cannons are being wiped in. None of that is going to help Zoun if these armies actually clash. And Spirit has had a few more workers than Zoun for the last 2 minutes, and that's just not common in a TVP. Every Terran player loves it, and every Protoss player will know that they are not supposed to fall behind in workers against the Terran.
Yeah, that's kind of crazy. But, I mean, he did open with that very fast 3 command centers, so it makes sense. And, of course, this is the part of the game where we always see that supply on Army for Terran really go above Protoss as well. But honestly, the setup he has... Well, hold on. We have a huge 4 medevac drop going into the main base. Going to instantly get rid of that cannon. And, I mean, he's going to be able to empower a lot of pylons here.
And by the time that Zoun can actually deal with this, keep an eye on the minimap, as there are already units running towards the top left as well. Zoun knows it. He's trying to send a couple of units towards the top left, but he still needs to clean up this drop. 10 workers going down. One of the gas is getting taken out as well. And Spirit has taken a 50 supply lead. A couple of Zealots are trying to make the difference on the other side of the map, but they don't accomplish anything. But this was well done by Zoun, but the supplies look honestly very sad. He's down 30 workers and he's down 60 supply. That's ridiculous.
I can't believe that he's actually down 30 workers. That's the part that's really surprising to me right now. But you know what? Spirit got that damage done. He did the nice multi-pronged harassment, and he already had great defense set up against the little Zealot run by, right? Like, Zoun is doing the right types of ideas, but nothing is really working out for him. It just feels like so far, Spirit's outplaying him.
Yep, he did get that second Forge, but neither Forge is working at the moment. Zoun is going to try to land a little feedback, but the days of feedback just killing medevacs are long gone, and Spirit is making all the correct calls on the other side of the map. 4 Vikings at a time, a Sensor Tower, a Fusion Core. We've got a couple of Ghosts out on the map as well, and they no longer need to research the enhanced shockwaves. So I have the feeling that Spirit's army is just going to be monstrous.
They no longer need to do it. Wonderful. And you know what? I really like the fact that he's going to go into Liberators as well. I'm a big fan of Liberators in TVP right now. I always get confused when they skip that out. And they're like, no, I'm fine. I think that's going to help him quite a bit. Spirit's army looking fantastic. Now, I want to say I think Zoun still has some play here. I'm a little bit disappointed, like upgrade-wise, that he's not focusing on that a little bit more. But obviously, you know, he's got to get those units out so he doesn't die. He needs to remake these probes. But he basically needs to take like 2 very cost-efficient engagements, I think, and then he can kind of be right back in it.
Yeah, I think we need to land a couple of big Novas. I mean, it's kind of an old story, right? Like, if we can land the big Nova, there is still a bit of hope, but Spirit is maxed out, and this is not a ghetto army. This is a very good army, and it's only getting better over time. I do think it's important for Spirit to kind of force the fight right now, because you'll never get a bigger advantage than you currently have.
No, sir.
You're maxed out. He's only at 150 supply. He's investing in upgrades. You already have 1-1. Your 2-2 is on the way. These really are the moments to fight. I think Spirit can end the game, but even if he doesn't end it, he should just always have a great fight here.
Yeah, I think he can have a good fight, but you know, we do have 3 Colossus, we do have 4 Archons in here. How many Ghosts does he have? I'm not entirely sure, but look at this drop. Oh my god, pulls him back into his natural, taking a lot of damage on these Colossi from those Vikings. Oh god, Spirit is just destroying.
Yep, there's absolutely nothing that Zoun can do. He does fire a Nova, but Zoun knows it. His army is stuck, and Spirit doesn't just win game 1, but he kind of dominates Zoun here in game 1.
Yeah, that was honestly very, very one-sided, and I see why he was really confident talking to us in the back room about this match, that he feels like he can definitely go through. I mean, build order-wise, it was good. He got a good build order, and I think you're very right. That 1 Marine Scout made a huge difference.
Gives him so much confidence, allows him to fly the orbital over a little bit quicker. If he then sees Stalkers, he's not too hesitant to stim once without the Medivacs, because he knows his opponent is macroing as well, but he got a head start in that macro game. So yeah, obviously the build worked out for Spirit, but I actually think that the Widowmine drops, despite the fact that we didn't have a single mine like, oh my god, it killed 10 probes, those Widowmine drops were fantastic, because it pulled Zoun all over the place. It forced Zoun to pull the probes away multiple times, so your army is not growing, you blink twice, suddenly Spirit doesn't just have a little bit of an economic advantage and a bigger army, it also allows Spirit to make a lot of moves out on the map, and Zoun wasn't keeping tabs on those moves, because he's too busy dealing with these Widowmine drops, and that is what allowed the quad Medivac drop to show up.
Normally, when Protoss is sitting back with blinking Colossus on 3 base, you're not going to get a 4 Medivac drop. A lot of times, in fact, you see a Terran do that, you're like, that's why you're an amateur, because you can't just fly into the defended base. But yeah, obviously, no vision there for Zoun. In fact, I believe he recalled his observer to check out exactly where the mines were to be able to get rid of those because of the quick armory. So fantastic moves right there from Spirit. He really played him the whole way. He dictated the game flow completely. And Zoun is... I don't feel like Zoun did something stupid, like he got caught on the build orders there a little bit. The Marines scouted him. It was some great play from Spirit. But I feel like Zoun, he has to be sharp in this next game.
Oh, 100%. Like, Zoun and Spirit are not 2 players that go up against one another a whole lot. They've played like 2 or 3 games throughout the entirety of 2022. So maybe Zoun approached this series where he's like, oh yeah, I know Spirit is good. He's one of the better European Terrans, but as long as I just play solid and safe, I'm going to be totally fine. And in game 1, I think he learned his lesson. He's like, okay, I actually do got to step it up a little bit. I have to be willing to take some risk in my play. Otherwise, this is not going to end well.
Well, hopefully he can bring it back, because this guy in the bottom right of Gressvan, it is Spirit.
And in the top left side, we're looking at the main base of our Korean Protoss, who started in lower bracket round 1, but he's still here in the qualifying best of 5. Representing all flags, it's Zoun.
You know, Zoun, of course, going to the military really, really soon. This could be his last tournament. This could be his last match. We don't really know quite yet. But the one thing we really do know, like what I want to see from Zoun here, Roddy, is a very specific plan that he goes for.
Yeah.
Like, you gotta, I feel like you have to play like that against a mechanical player like Spirit. You're not going to be able to scout that he did a more greedy build than you. than try to counter-greet him. You know, because we literally just saw that, and he couldn't do it. Spirit totally outplayed him.
But it also, that's just not really how the economies work, right? As a Protoss, you can't really go up to 3 bases past minute 4 and be like, oh, he's got triples, you see, now I can go 3 base, and we're both going to have a great economy. No, the Terran economy will always be better because of triple mu, and then all they need to do is find that little bit of damage, and then things really snowball.
Yeah.
In Game 2, we have completely different openings. Spirit is building his barracks out in the middle of the map. He built it in between the side blockers. We do have a little probe scout. Zoun is aware of it, and he goes for the safety Zealot. The Zealot can obviously buy some time against the Reaper. What are we looking at here? Maybe double Reaper Hellion?
Was it a Reaper being made, or was it a Marine being made? I almost feel like I saw a Marine, which wouldn't make too much sense to me.
That'd be very crazy.
That would be like an ultimate mind game if that's the case. Yeah, it is the Marine. Yeah.
Is he proxying everything then? Is the factory being built? Ooh. One base, Cloak, Widowmine, Thor.
Dude, if he goes for that build, oh my god, I will be the sickest fan for the rest of his life.
You can also go for a super quick Hellion drop. Now, the fact that this Marine just scouted, or that probe just scouted the fact there is a Marine, that's obviously going to make the alarm bells go off on the side of Zoun. He's like, wait a minute, you're supposed to like proxy Reaper.
Yeah.
We've got 2 Widowmines in production. The Zealot is going to try to find these buildings, and I do think that Zoun is heading in the right direction. But maybe you can get the reactor, but it's going to be hard because these Widowmines are going to pop, and obviously these Widowmines could fire, but hey, just preventing that starport from finishing up is already pretty big.
And of course, he can't prevent it forever because of those Widowmines, but to prevent it a little bit and to know exactly what's going on, it's like, okay, 2 Widowmines and then probably 2 more coming out, a medevac. He's got to block this, and he knows how.
What do you make of the second gateway on the side of Zoun?
The second gateway, I think he just wants more stalkers, honestly. I feel like you just want to make a lot of stalkers and an observer. It's kind of like old, like Heart of the Swarm builds, you know?
I actually really like this, by the way, what Spirit is doing. He's going to run one Widowmine into the natural, while the medevac is going to show up in the main base. And as a Protoss player, like, all right, that's the medevac, that's carrying all the Widowmines.
Yeah.
And this one mine that's going to run into the natural has a lot of potential. But look at the production tab and look at that armory. It's 75% done. The Robo is not quite done yet. The Zoun is going to send a single probe out, and that's actually not too bad, because now at least he knows about that Widowmine, and it has already fired. But this is still so damn hard to deal with as a Protoss, because look at the army supply of Zoun. It's 10. You just don't have a lot of firepower to deal with this kind of stuff.
Well, I think that's why he did add on that second gateway. We'll see if he gets enough units out. Brings these stalkers up, starts putting damage on the medevac, and of course, as these mines go off, he is going to lose a few probes here and there, and a lot of mining time as well.
Yep, don't forget about that other Widowmine. Seems that the Adept is guarding the natural. We do have a CC going up in the main base, so Spirit is not going to follow this up with some sort of Thor rush. He is willing to expand, but obviously the plan is to deal a lot of economic damage. 5 probes and a bit of lost mining time is decent, but Spirit needs more. He knows that, and he's going to try to get that with round 2.
Yeah, he's diving in now, and it looks like the probes will get pulled in time. Oh, it takes a little bit of damage there, loses a stalker. But you know what? I think that Zoun dealt with this just fine. Like, the amount of probes he's going to have by the time that command center's landed at the natural is going to be pretty out of control.
Yep, nice save there by Spirit, though. Even though that medevac has a relatively low on HP, but the Widowmine is even lower on HP. I am totally with you. This was all very impressive by Zoun, because you don't have a lot of units as a Protoss, and that is indeed probably why he made that second gateway as early as he did. And obviously going for the Robo was a perfect call. Because if he would have gone for the Twilight Council, this game is over.
Oh, 100%, yeah. Very, very important to get those observers out. Just has it in siege right now. Still just microing against these. Oh my god! That was fantastic with a double probe attack. And he will push that medevac out once again.
Actually, love that play by Spirit. He threw down a scan, hoping that Zoun would be a sloppy Protoss, that the Widowmine could just target the Observer, and that would obviously be super annoying as a Protoss to deal with. But Zoun wasn't born last night. He's like, nope, I'm not going to let you get away with that. So now in the end, Spirit actually wasted a scan, but I still appreciate the effort. And all of this is slowly but steady adding up, though. It's very important for Zoun that he does not skip a beat on work production, and I would have even loved to see him already go up to 3 bases, because sometimes we forget how long this kind of stuff goes on. But look at the clock then. We're almost 6 minutes into this game. We could have had a third Nexus.
No, you're completely right. And in fact, when you see those buildings all proxied, he had to float the barracks back. He's been making mines, which he's been losing. there's 0% chance you can be attacked. It's like only harassment can hit you. So I think you're completely right. He should have probably just gotten enough stalkers to guard both bases, throw down a third nexus, and suddenly you're starting to get quite ahead.
Yep. Because now you're still kind of stuck eventually. We're going to get a couple of extra gates, extra forts. This is all super, super safe, Mr. Zoun. As he's going to be forced to pull the probes away one more time. Once more careful with the ups. He knows it. Every Protoss player has been there when you lose your observer because the Widow Mine splashes over a probe and it takes down your ups and you absolutely hate life. But I do feel that Zoun got a little stuck. He really should have been going up to 3 bases by now. As Spirit has floated his starport towards the top right, by the way.
Oh my god.
Could not be bothered to float it all the way home, and he's going to start building medevacs from the top right. I am a bit worried for Zoun though, because it's going to take a long time before his army gets a whole lot better. We do see that the Robo Bay go down right as we speak, but still going to take a little while. We're now 7 minutes into the game.
He scouted the 1-base build. He actually countered it really well. He defended everything really well, but you're right, he didn't really make a strong choice to counter what was going on. Like, I feel like he's almost playing too safe here. You know, he's down a game against Spirit, and maybe he's just... Maybe he feels like, well, I should beat this guy, right? Like, especially with an opener like that. But honestly, like, it doesn't feel like he's as far ahead as I was feeling like he would be when I saw the builds.
I think the initial defense, you were spot on. It was very good. And I think the defense against the second Widowmine drop was very good as well. But then I don't think he capitalized on all the time he technically gained and created for himself. And it felt that Zoun was only concerned about losing probes and didn't actually think about the fact that eventually there's going to be a real army and that real army can pack a punch.
Yeah.
And that is kind of the phase of the game that we're heading into now. But all things considered, if we can stabilize with an observer or 2 outside of our main base, natural, we've got a Colossus or 2 on the way, and we make sure that it doesn't get interference matrixed, he should still be all right in this game.
Yeah. Just the thing is, I feel like he could have been really far ahead, right? If he had 3 base saturation right now, he'd be exploding his gateway count. You know, Spirit would have a very sharp timing here that he would have to make work. But as is, Spirit is coming across the map a little bit. Loads up a couple medevacs. The Raven, of course, we just saw harassing lightly as well with that auto turret. And look at this. He's going to utilize that medevac in the top left as well as these 2 coming into the main.
Yeah, this could hurt. And Zoun just recalled a couple of Stalkers, by the way, towards that base at 9 o'clock. So this drop is absolutely going to hurt. If that Observer goes down, that would be very problematic because there are a couple of Widow Mines here and that Armory is obviously still online. Zoun is taking some damage as he blinks, losing a couple of probes, going to lose a couple of Stalkers. Will eventually clean this up, but Spirit is also at the bottom left side. Not quite sure what he's targeting though. A little bit of everything, right? A bit of the Nexus, wants to get the Colossus. Couple of Marauders come in from the bottom. That all worked out for Zoun, but I honestly think that's also because Spirit miscontrolled the units a bit there.
Yeah, it was strange where he was focusing and what he decided to target there. So the attack on that 3rd base location like really didn't do very much, and Zoun dealt reasonably well with the drops into the main base. So now we do see him go ahead and take a little bit of an army advantage, which is not always the case at this point in the game for Protoss.
No, definitely not, but the workers are dead even. And even though he did do a great job with the 4 Stalkers on the right side of the map, sniping the SCV, getting a cancel on that 3rd CC that Spirit was building on location. It was a bit greedy, by the way, but we do like a bit of greed, because that is obviously what makes these players great. But it's important that Zoun does not forget to keep on building probes, because yeah, you've got +2 on the way and Charge is finishing up and he's got a decent amount of gateways, but I really wouldn't hate just a couple of extra workers that by the time that 4th Nexus finishes up, we can saturate that bad boy too.
Yeah, I definitely would like to see him just kind of explode that economy a little bit more here. The one thing that I feel like I really am noticing here, Spirit has more of like, the moves he is making are more decisive and more, he's like pointing towards winning the whole time, whereas Zoun is just pointing towards staying alive.
And that's going to be a decent amount of work is going on. It's 6 because we did pull the probes in the end, but that
a little bit slow.
And that was a second away from a complete disaster, and 6 is obviously still not bad, especially not because Spirit kept that medevac alive and the Widowmine's alive. But to go back to your point you made before that Widowmine drop, I feel that Spirit knows exactly where he's at and knows exactly what he's has to do, and it kind of feels that Zoun is just trying to react to everything, and the Spirit is trying to go somewhere, and Zoun is just hoping that he goes into the right direction.
Yeah, this is exactly the opposite of what I wanted to see from Zoun. I want to see him make a plan and follow through, whereas he's trying to play this reactive Protoss against Spirit. Dude, you need to basically be stats to do that, you know? Like, you need to be like a god-tier Protoss to be able to do that against such a strong mechanical Terran.
The minimap movement kind of indicates everything you're talking about as well, right? It feels that Zoun is always reacting to Spirit, and I know that's a little bit of how TVP plays out in general, but with the way that this game opened up and how well he defended the first and second Widowmine drop, it should be the other way around right now. Spirit should be shivering on his side of the map, and Zoun should be in his face with a better economy and trying to shut down every move Spirit makes, but we're not seeing that. It feels that Spirit is dictating the pace of the game, but Zoun does have that double robo, and Zoun with double robo is terrifying for any Terran player to deal with. This man has excellent Colossus and disruptive movement, so Zoun is not in all sorts of trouble, but it just goes back to what we said a couple of times now. It should have been better than what it is.
Well, we're going to see how Zoun actually ends up controlling this army. Like you said, he's very good with the robo units. He's specifically known for disruptor play in really every matchup. He loves the disruptor. So if he can get those big disruption balls off, obviously that is going to really help to swing the game. But even as is, you just look at like the supplies and the numbers. Like, he's got a fighting army. I'm not worried that he's just about to die like I was in game 1.
No, that's true. This time around, Spirit is really gonna have to work for it. He's gonna have to control his units better. I do love the 9 Vikings against the 2 Colossus, by the way, especially because one of the Colossus already lost a little bit of its real HP. I love that Viking movement too, but there's an observer there that's revealing it, and that just once more shows how important observers can be. But the Vikings still get a full volley off, and the first Colossus melts, and the second one is very low on HP as well. And we cannot forget that Zoun is playing single forts. He's got no armor on these units then.
Yeah, that's very, very true. And honestly, I feel like you got to just give up on Colossi tech at this point. Maybe more disruptors. Maybe you go into High Templars. But yeah, those Colossus are not going to be able to do too much damage in these battles. It really is going to come down to these disruptors. Gets a big shot there to the south.
Yep, we do have a couple of Zealots coming in from the top right, and that is very important because there was actually a Widowmine that was behind that Protoss army that got a great shot off and kind of splashed over all these disruptors. So that could have been very dangerous, but the Zealots coming in from the top right was excellent, and that still made this an alright fight. But I do think we really need to have a War Prism if we want to be this deep in Terran territory. Don't we need a War Prism?
Dude, he is going for it right now. The Disruptor's throwing out their Novas. An EMP does go off, but no damage to help finish them. And Zoun is pushing everything back.
Yep, and he does have a Prism. It's just trailing behind the main army for a little bit. A couple of Liberators are out, but Spirit supply is plummeting. These Novas have connected. SCVs are falling to these Zealots that are just going to town. Zealots do not care, obviously. As long as they have +2, they will mess up these SCVs very quickly. And Zoun just gets in there and ends the game, despite the fact that he did not have any armor upgrades and didn't necessarily have the best economy. But you give that man a couple of Disruptors, and he knows what he's doing.
No, totally. Even with the Colossi falling so quickly there to that Viking swarm, he was able to push him back. The flank of Zealots, absolutely beautiful, as you mentioned. And Spirit's army just kind of fell apart. Honestly, I can't really fault Spirit. I actually really like how he played that game. To take that risk after you win the big macro game in game 1, to do a one-base heavy harassment build, to try to outplay your opponent, to kind of catch him off guard. It didn't work. He still made a game out of it. But Zoun showing that he is here to play.
I actually think it didn't look bad for Spirit at all until those Zealots did come in from the top right. And otherwise, that could have been a very awkward fight, because without Colossus, it's kind of hard to really run into a Terran army. We all know that Disruptors are not great at chasing an army. They're super good at just standing there and fighting, or they're incredibly strong defensive units. But to chase a Terran army from the top left towards a Terran natural, not something you normally want to do. But yeah, if you've got a couple of Zealots coming in from the right side, trapping these bio units, forcing Spirit to pick up a lot, Stalkers blinking forward, sniping Medivacs. Like, that went from 0 to 100 real quick for Zoun.
Yeah, it really did. And you know what? He capitalized on it. It was like he wasn't really getting anywhere big, and then he got just the right engagement. Bam, takes game number 2. It can show you just how unforgiving StarCraft 2 could be sometimes.
Yep. Because it definitely felt that Spirit was in there. I think it was all right before 2-2 kicked in as well, right, for Terran. And that obviously could have made a bit of a difference, since we were playing single forts on the side of Zoun. And Zealots, yes, they are great, but they do really need some armor upgrades or a Guardian Shield if Bio hits +2. Yeah, well done by Zoun. Couple of Disruptors, and this man shows us what he's capable of.
What do you think about these numbers here, Roddy? Would you agree with them?
Let me take a look. I have the feeling that, yeah, Spirit's defense, I wouldn't even hate it if it was a little bit higher, because I do think he's a great defensive player. But if you ask me, what is Zoun better at, offense or defense? I would actually say he's better offense than he is defensively.
Maybe in this matchup. But I think defensively, PvZ, he's extremely strong. That's like where we see all of his PvZ wins.
Yeah, now in the late game, obviously Zoun is somebody who can actually win late game ZVP. I think back of that crazy game he had against Zero on Data C a couple months ago. I remember looking at that, and we were all looking at it with the cast, and we're like, yeah, this is not that exciting, because Zero always wins late game. And the game went on, and then suddenly like, oh my god, Zoun just did it. Like, great storm after great storm. We had a time warp, a couple of Archon hits. So yeah, I do think his late game PvZ is indeed incredibly sexy. But for some reason, I feel of Zoun more as a great aggressive player than a great defensive player. But other than that, I think these numbers are fine.
Yeah, no, they seem to be pretty close. I wouldn't actually mind Spirit's mechanics being a bit higher. I kind of always think of him as a very standard macro Terran, you know?
I would definitely give the defense like in the 90s, man. There's no better turtle out there than Spirit. That man can hang in there for days. But no, I think it's quite fair. I mean, the player cards have just been awesome, and all the players have had a lot of fun with it as well. They've been teasing each other a little bit. It's been great.
Well, I think we are just about ready to get into game number 3. Tied up 1-1. Someone going to get up onto match point. Who do you think, Roddy? Based on the 2 games you saw, who has the advantage going into game 3?
I think I still like Spirit, man. I think after these first 2 games,
I do too, yeah.
I think I like it for Spirit, but it's obviously on these moments, it's not so much about who's better in the matchup or who knows what about the other guy. It's just about performing to the best of your abilities after such a long day. And this is a very stressful moment, because you win here, you get to play 5 more series, you know, and anything could happen. You lose and it's all over. So it's super important to keep the nerves under control. Let's see if this man can do it. In the top left side, representing Kaizi Gaming, representing Poland, it's Spirit.
And in the bottom right, perhaps his last tournament as a pro gamer from Alpha X, it's Zoun.
It's kind of weird to me that Zoun still feels like a relatively new school Protoss, even though he's been around for a long time. But if you think of the old guys, you do think of the Zest and Stats and Classic and obviously Hero as well. And then Zoun has been around now for years, and he clearly has been one of the best Protoss players in the world consistently for years. Yet he still kind of feels like one of the newer guys.
Yeah, well, that's the hilarious thing. As RTS games get older, we get this like group of players that are up on top, and it's hard for anyone to join them. And they've been around for so long. It's like, how many GSLs have you been in, Zoun? Let's say he's been in 9 or 10 GSLs. Like, well, we have players that are in like 30 GSLs. So, you know, of course, it certainly feels like he's a lot newer.
We have a pylon on the low ground, gateway on the low ground, and we're going to kick things off with a Zealot. Now, I was wondering if he was just doing this because he was worried about more proxy shenanigans from Spirit, but it seems that this is just part of the build order. We know that MaxPax, for instance, is still a big fan of opening up with a Zealot, running it to the other side of the map, and Spirit did not SCV scout this time around, I believe, and he went Marine before Reaper. Now, the Reaper does have a lot of micro potential against the Zealot. This is such a quick unit, and it deals a little bit of bonus damage as well. But I would still love to see Spirit get a bunker, because without a bunker, if these adepts start showing up, this is going to be very annoying.
Okay, yeah, I can't deny that, but I have seen some funny games in TVP where they open Marine, and then you pop out the Reaper, and you're not always expecting that as Protoss, right?
No.
Sometimes if you send that Reaper across the map, it will cause some real damage to the mineral line as well.
Absolutely, but I think at first this Reaper is going to stay busy at home helping this Marine. We're going to work on the probe initially. Zealot grenade actually allowed the Zealot to get a hit off there, I believe, but in the end this Marine should survive. Spirit, you definitely don't want to lose an SCV here. That's not necessary. A little bit of a dance here, but it seems that Spirit knows how to dance, and I do still love that bunker, man, because otherwise these adepts are just going to become a real problem.
No, and when you get a Protoss player that knows how to utilize these adepts, you know, someone like MaxPax, oh my god, the amount of damage that you can get early game against Terran where you're denying the command center, it's crazy.
Gotta give it up to Spirit, by the way. This was absolutely perfect. He did not
defense.
lose the Marine. He did not lose the SCVs. He took damage on a couple of units, but that's okay. He had the bunker up as well. Like, you really cannot defend this any better as a Terran player.
Yeah, yeah. Well, you know, he had the fancy grenade where it like didn't hit the Marine, but it did jump the Zot into the Marine. So it would have been better to actually throw it in the middle, right? That's kind of funny, but no, you're right. It was like basically a perfect defense there.
In the end, it seems that this Adept did manage to get a single SCV, but if you're a Protoss and you open up with the Zealot, which is not a common unit, and then you use a quick Chrono Boost as well on your first Adept, you're hoping definitely for a little bit more than what Zoun got so far. And obviously nothing of this is game ending, and it's not that Zoun is in all sorts of trouble right now, but you don't love this as a Protoss, because you know that you didn't go for the most economic build out there, and you kind of expected this to drag on for a little while longer than it actually did, and you're like, alright, not an ideal start. Now I need to make sure that I'm going to be bulletproof in the next 90 seconds of this game.
Well, right now, going to go ahead in here and scout. Going to easily be able to see that Blink is on the way. Well, he's going to assume it's Blink, of course. What else would it be? A couple Stalkers already at that natural. Very standard opener here from Zoun with the 3-gate Robo Blink. And, of course, we have a quick medevac coming out for Spirit.
Yeah, probably just a double mine drop, right? I think we have 2 mines out on the map. It's just it's kind of a safe opener. This is something that Clem likes to do as well, and I think Gabe is relatively fond of this, where like it's enough to deal a lot of damage. It's enough to keep a Protoss player busy at home, but it's also not that much of an investment where if it doesn't do any damage, you're in serious trouble as a Terran. Which with the triple mine drop, you have the feeling like, all right, I definitely do want this to get a couple of probes or a lot of lost mining time. Otherwise, I'm in trouble. This is the kind of investment where if it doesn't work out as a Terran, you still have a strong follow-up.
Well, here I like the speed of this third Nexus. He is still getting that Prism, so maybe going to try to pin Spirit in his base a little bit. But first, let's see how well he blocks this mine drop. Stalker's moving into position. He does have that Blink upgrade. Oh, he blinks away.
Weird blink.
He blinks away to get into the Prism. That's what's going on there. And look at this. Stands right there. Knows exactly where that medevac is at. This is good. I like this a lot from Zoun. This is the type of game I want to see from him. Quicker third. We're still going to go across and harass, and we know what our opponent is up to.
That is a very quick Templar Archives, by the way.
Yes, indeed.
Might actually just go for Quick Storm here, because I don't think that Quick Archons would really make a whole lot of sense with the way that he has played this. We're going to unload the Stalkers in the main base. They're going to blink behind the middle line, and 4 Stalkers is the magical number to one-shot some SCVs. And this is some excellent damage that Zoun is finding here. Wants to, of course, make sure he doesn't do anything silly with the Warp Prism. You definitely don't want to F2 that bad boy home and fly through the Terran main base. As long as he doesn't do anything silly like that. I really wonder, are we going to get Quick Storm or not?
Yeah.
Yes, and I love it. I think it's a correct call, especially against the triple CC that Spirit is working with.
Dude, actually, some of these quick Storm builds are super, super cool. Like, I remember Trap doing a few of these from time to time, where the Terran player just won't get their Ghost Academy yet, and you walk up to their third base, and they're like, oh god, you have Storm, oh no! You know, it can do a lot of damage.
Oh, that's sexy turret placement, by the way. All the probes went towards the top side, and then Spirit dropped another auto turret that blocked the probes from evacuating that way. That got 6 probes. That's a lot for a little bit of Raven arrest.
Yeah, very, very nicely done. The Stalker is going to push that third command center back as well, just stalling out as much as he can at the moment.
We still have that medevac, right? It's still sitting there?
Yeah, yeah. I got to tell you, though, Spirit's making good moves, but I'm still digging Zoun's position. Like, he's about to have Storm, he's about to have Charge, he has a Prism, right? He's about to get his Forge. His probe saturation is pretty good. He's almost on full 3-base economy.
Yeah. I think with builds like this, it truly comes down to the execution, though. You need to be great with your High Templars in the War Prism, and the first few Storms need to connect. Otherwise, it does become a little bit problematic, because Terran will have 1-1 upgrades. You're going to often be working with 0-0, and there's going to be a couple of Widow Mines in the mix. While keeping this Observer alive is so important with that Armory finishing up.
Seriously. Look at this. A second Forge coming up as well, so he's going to be on those double upgrades. Roddy, do you want to see him, like, try to harass? Do you want to see him try a full-on attack, or to sit back defensively?
I think it's more about creating some map vision right now, because I think running into Widow Mines and into bunkers is incredibly hard. And if you look at the production tab, you see that he's building multiple cannons now as well. I think it never makes too much sense to play with cannons and double forts, as we do have that Widow Mine drop showing up, but that's just a single Zealot. The other mine drop tried to accomplish something as well. But yeah, basically all the signs on the production tab tell us that Zoun wants to drag this game out for a little while longer. You don't want to attack if you spend that many minerals on defensive stuff.
Oh, absolutely. And he's just going to do some light harassment here. Double storm drop. Hey, he kills like a couple Marines, maybe 5 SCVs. Going to be able to get out of there with all of his units fully intact. And just continuing to add, you know, High Templars, Archons, getting those upgrades, going for the 4th base. Looking pretty good, but the Ghost Academy is almost done.
Spirit knows about this prism. A couple of Marines are stimming, but Zoun knew about it as well, and he keeps that bad boy safe. That is very important. Obviously, Zoun has still that key observer in the center of the map that really just makes it so much easier for him to play this game. He knows exactly when Spirit is sitting at home. He knows when Spirit wants to move out, and that just allows him to make all the correct calls. He's going up to 4 bases, drops the Robo Bay. Spirit does throw down the scan, and I do think that Spirit will probably try his luck as soon as the first few gulls have joined his army.
Yeah, I would be surprised if he doesn't make some move at that point. It's not like your army is going to scale up too much better than that right now. And you want to hit him before he really has that second source of splash ready. But, you know, the second Robo is coming. The support bay is coming. So definitely we're going to, I would say Colossus, but I mean, it's Zoun. So it might just be Disruptor.
Couple nice storm drops again, 7 or 8 SCVs even this time around. It does really start adding up. Seems like the Ghost dropped a couple of EMPs there as well, or one goes EMP, the other goes. I don't know how those Ghosts are drained from energy, but they are. So this drop in the bottom side of the map, this is obviously a big investment, a triple medevac drop. Zoun is up to 80 probes for the first time in this series, and I love the way that he's been dropping these spotter pylons around the map. I have a hard time believing that this drop is going to be anywhere near as successful as the drop we had on Altitude.
Well, he's sending a couple medevacs the other way, so, you know, not putting all of his eggs into one basket with the double drop. If one of them does a lot of damage, or if he can draw attention like with the double and then hit with the triple, that could be huge.
Right now, actually, okay, we have another turret go down. Can it kill the High Templar? That's obviously not bad value for a single other turret of the Raven. Spirit has a crazy amount of supply stuck in medevacs around the map right now, though. Yeah. And Zoun's main army is pretty close towards that 3rd base of Spirit. Spirit's going to try to take a 4th. That's absolutely impossible. Spirit's got 5 supplies, 5 medevacs full of units around the map right now. That means that more than half of his army is out on the bout, but it will work as Zoun is going to recall.
Well, it forces a recall there. That means he can drop into the main base, and it's going to take a long time for anything to get there. Only a single photon cannon, so a lot of damage is going to be dealt. Look at this, stimming forward. What is he going to target? Starting to get a few gateways, gets that one around the warp in, and going to start trying to unpower some buildings.
Yep. I was afraid that was the only pylon there.
No, don't worry. It's got its tasteless pylon over to the side. Give it some support.
Yes, and the tasteless pylon will stand strong, so all the gateways are still powered. But obviously, sniping in Nexus there is nice. And Spirit's not done yet. He knows that Zoun sent over a lot of units to defend the main base. A couple of Stalkers is not going to be enough to keep this Nexus alive. We do have that Prism show up. Are we going to be able to land a couple of great storms? Nope. I mean, Spirit is doing a great job here, and this is obviously very annoying for Zoun to deal with.
Well, both sides are maxed out, kind of getting everything that they want. Tons of upgrades going to be finishing up here. It looks like we're going to have 2-2 for Zoun, and then over on the Terran side, we already have the 2-2 with some vehicle weapons coming. I mean, this is definitely turning into a big-time macro game.
What have the Robos done so far? Can we take a look at the key Robo unit tab? That's actually not a great Protoss army then. We have 15 Zealots, 1 Immortal, 3 Archons,
yeah.
only 3 High Templars. We don't have a single Colossus out on the map. We don't have a single Disruptor. It almost felt that Zoun panic warped in a whole bunch of units when it was getting dropped all over the place, and he's like, oh, now I'm maxed out, and now he can't even use the Robo Bay.
Yeah, no, he needs to go ahead and lose some of these units, honestly. Get rid of your Adepts, maybe throw some Zealots off to the side on the map. But it's very important to get that second source of splash.
I mean, that one storm was very juicy, but this Protoss army is just not quite good enough. The EMPs are big. This Nexus is in serious trouble as well, and that Nexus will get picked off. Obviously, Spirit's army is a bit low on HP, but Spirit is going to be quite happy with how all of that went. But for Zoun, this wasn't even a disaster. Now he does have the free supply to fire up a couple of disruptors, and we know the damage he can do with those units.
Yeah, I'm happy to see him finally getting those disruptors, but I think that's why he took the damage, is he didn't have those additional robo units. So army not as high quality as he wants, but I'm sure Zoun is going to work on that from here on out. With that planetary there, I'm not sure what Zoun's game plan is. Without High Templars, he can't do anything here.
I think he just saw how low on HP the Terran army was, and he's like, maybe. You can see Spirit thinking there as well. It's like, I know you can take this fight, but on the other hand, if a single storm connects with this low HP bio army, that is actually really going to hurt for me, and we can see it hurting in the end. I also see something very bizarre, by the way, something you almost never see. A Terran player with a lack of gas. Like, how often do we mention that in this matchup?
No, that's actually a really good point. It's very rare indeed. Normally they're sitting on so many thousands of gas. I'm like, if Terrans had Archons, they would never lose, man.
Exactly. Terran players normally don't have that one great unit to dump all that gas like Protoss has, or maybe Zerg when they can morph a whole bunch of Banelings, but Spirit actually needs to make sure that he starts saturating a couple of these refineries. Otherwise, the only thing he can make are Marines, and yeah, that's probably not going to cut it if Storm is up.
Yeah, it looks like right now Zoun also getting ready with that Fleet Beacon tech. Couple Liberators flying around, getting ready to go somewhere for some harassment. But what do you think here? Do you want to see Tempest or you want to see Carrier?
The funny thing is that I think out of all the maps, this is probably the best Tempest map out there. Like, on any other map, I would always say Carrier. On this map, I'm kind of tempted to say that I think Tempest is a slightly better choice against the way that Spirit plays, because Spirit can play so defensively that I actually do think Tempest are better, but I'm just a Carrier lover then. But on this map, my answer is Tempest, even though it hurts.
Dude, well, I tell you what, this is going to be the one time you and I agree, because I always say Tempest every map, man. It is just such a great unit to put into your army. But he's going to go Carrier. Oh, my God. Well, at least one of us is going to be happy.
We have a couple of Zealots getting absolutely obliterated even by all these bio units, and the EMPs were big on the Stalkers as well. And I think Zoun realized that losing the Zealots is completely okay. You don't want to lose too many Stalkers and Disruptors, though. So he wisely decides to disengage. And all of that did free up some supply for more carriers. Now, if we want to go carriers, by the way, it's incredibly important we start getting some air weapons. I'm a little bit obsessed with carrier upgrades, but obviously if bio units have +3 and your carriers have +0, your carriers are just going to tickle these Marines and Ghosts, and it's going to take forever to take a single unit down.
Yeah, I honestly, I'm not a super fan of seeing those carriers pop out first. Even just a small handful of Tempest could be really nice here, I think, especially the amount of Liberators that are being popped out. Like, that's something you're going to be able to pick off anyways. But you know what? Like, Zoun, he has a lot going on. Still putting pressure around the map as well, being pretty active. These carriers going to be able to clean up some of the Liberators that are harassing. But look at this big move coming in from Spirit.
Couple of Novas trying to connect, but the tank siege up in time and multiple Disruptors get obliterated in a single shot. Cybernetic score goes down, which means air weapons are denied for a long time. And now we're going to see the power of +0 carriers against a bunch of bio units. That was a pretty sweet Nova as it drops 3 tanks very low on HP. But Spirit is just not done yet. He's going to try to steam into the main base. There are a couple of carriers here, but these carriers don't have any upgrades, and the bio has +3 armor.
Yeah, the Interceptor's not doing very much. The carrier's taking massive damage as he tries to push up his own ramp here, going up the Archon being absolutely exploded, and he just can't make it up. What killer instinct from Spirit. I did not expect an attack like this.
These tanks were godlike. You rarely see tanks getting that many big shots off in a TVP. First they get all the Disruptors, then he picked them up, flew them into the main base, and they got multiple very juicy fat shots off in the heart of that Stalker army, and Zoun could just not walk into the main base. And the main base is where that Fleet Beacon is, where all those gateways are, where the Stargates are. In the end, Zoun finally makes it, but he took a lot of damage.
Yeah, at least he gets to kill off a portion of Spirit's army, but Spirit's still way up on supply, even a higher bank as well, while Zoun just continues to try to pump out more carriers. But like you said, the upgrade's just not really there. In fact, he lost his cybernetic score. He lost +1.
Yep, it wasn't even like all that far done. But
Yeah.
no, now you have to rebuild the Cybercore and then you have to restart +1, and it is going to take forever. Carriers are obviously one of the best units in the game, and every Protoss player loves the carrier to some degree, some more than others, but they do need upgrades. And if they're even in upgrades, they're always good. If you're ahead in upgrades, carriers are godlike. But if you're 3 upgrades down, which is technically what they are right now, yeah, these interceptors just don't do a whole lot. If there are medevacs in the mix and the medevacs are healing the bio units, the interceptors will do 0.
Yeah, seriously. Well, we saw that when the bio went up into the main base. He has 3 carriers attacking. I think I saw 1 Marine down.
Yeah, maybe. That's because the medevac was busy healing something else. Vikings, by the way, coming in from the bottom left, and that is such a sweet engagement for Spirit, and that is going to do it for Game 3. Spirit with some YOLO plays there into the natural, sieging up the tanks. I would love to see that tank volley on the Disruptors again, by the way, because I saw all the Novas coming. I was like, that could be big.
Yeah.
Boom. Tanks getting all the Disruptors at once, and then honestly the way that he handled that on siege, fly into the main base, siege up again, getting a few more big shots off. Spirit on fire.
That level of killer instinct that Spirit showed to make that move into the natural, that really caught me off guard, Roddy. Like, he saw some of Zoun's units down to the south. He knew that this transition was coming, I'm pretty sure. But the fact that he just like instantly appeared there, sieged all the tanks, targeted perfectly, gets rid of the robos. You know, he did so much with that attack. And honestly, I thought it was just going to kind of be split map, grindy game. But he just jumped on the very first weaknesses Zoun had.
What I also love is that we saw him pick up the 3 medevacs, and he put them in the bottom of the map. He was so patient with it. He just waited. He knew it would be very silly to randomly fly that in there. And even if he has another double drop in the top right side, that is not supposed to find a whole lot of damage if Zoun is just defending. And obviously losing 5 medevacs full of bio units is too much. So he just waited, and eventually he capitalized on the opportunity when he saw the army in the top side of the map. Some great plays by Spirit so far. It does seem that these guys need a tiny break. So we're going to take a little break as well. We'll be back in 3 minutes with Game 4 between Spirit and Zoun.
You love it, you wear it.
Wear your passion. Share your passion. Wherever, whenever. Gaming is a lifestyle. Get your merch at shop.eslgaming.com.
Intel Extreme Masters Katowice is brought to you by Blizzard Entertainment, Monster Energy, and Intel.
Hey guys, welcome back to the Intel Extreme Masters Katowice. We are at the StarCraft 2 World Championships, and we are finishing up the round of 32. One of these two players will be the last to join the group stage. Spirit leads 2-1 over Zoun and has been playing fantastically here tonight, Roddy.
Yep, looking at the first 3 games, it does really feel that Spirit is feeling it a little bit more in this moment. But we've seen a couple of crazy comebacks today already, and we all know that Zoun is capable of one. Game 4 will be played on Neo Humanity. It could be the last one of a very long day of StarCraft. Or will it be the second to last one? We're about to find out. In the bottom right side, we're looking at the main base of the man who has taken a 2-1 lead and is 1 win away from making it into the round of 24 for the 2nd year in a row. KaiZ Gaming's Spirit.
And his opponent, again, going to the military soon. This could be his last professional game ever. We don't know yet. In the top left, it's Zoun. And here we are. You know, they seem pretty well matched, but it does feel like the edge is Spirits. Now, that being said, he smashed Cure in a couple games and ended up getting reverse swept. So I'm not, you know, I'm not completely sold. I think Zoun still definitely has a chance here.
He definitely does. We cannot count anybody. Giving the spot that Zoun was in at a certain moment, and I actually even thought that Spirit took the lead there for a split second. I just kind of love the way that Spirit is approaching these games. He's patient when he needs to be, but he's also ultra decisive.
Yeah.
And I feel like he jumps on every opportunity that presents itself.
Although I do have to be fair, like I definitely agree with the decisivity thing, which I think is really, really important in professional level play. Like, you got to make decisions and go with them. Whereas Zoun has felt a little bit more reactive, but I felt like last game he picked that up a little bit. Like, he was taking a much quicker third base.
Yep.
He definitely had some ideas about exactly what he wanted to do with his Warp Prism harassment after that. I did like his play other than the carrier switch in that last game. But, you know, I guess we'll just see if he wants to go down that same type of road again. You know, the very standard opener, take your third base, get the robos going, that type of thing. Or, you know, obviously that quick Psy Storm worked out pretty well for him as well.
Yeah, and I don't want to make any excuses for any Protoss because obviously we've been playing on these maps for over a month at this point. All the weekly cups have been on this month, but whenever a new map pool does present itself, as a Protoss player, it can be kind of hard to figure out where exactly medevacs are coming from, which are the scariest drops, and we're not talking about a single medevac, but those quad medevac drops, and it does feel that Zoun thought he was totally safe on Babylon. With this couple of his observer in the center of the map, couple of spotted pylons, but clearly there were still a couple of spots that he did not have vision of, and Spirit just kept 3 medevacs there for the longest time. And I do really think that that's kind of what started the disaster for Zoun, right? When he took a lot of damage, he was forced to reco into the main base, and because of that he started taking a lot of damage at 6 o'clock, so maybe still a little bit of inexperience is shining through on that previous map at least. But hey, let's stop talking about the previous maps. Let's talk about my favorite unit in the history of StarCraft 2, Artosis.
The Phoenix.
You know it.
I know, man. I literally, guys, today I asked Roddy, I'm like, hey, Roddy, are you still making too many Phoenixes every matchup? And he smiled at me and went, yep.
I will never deny it. Phoenix are obviously great. Ooh, Spirit actually fires up Cloak here for a split second. So 4 Hellions into Cloak Banshee. And these, well, they're actually not going to get a whole lot done. It's only 2 Hellions remaining, and one of them is very low on HP. Okay, that's actually a slightly better shot than I even thought he was going to have.
Yeah.
But this is not necessarily the damage that Spirit was looking for, but given the circumstance and given the amount of adepts that were there and the shield battery and the Phoenix, I actually think 5 probes is more than he was supposed to get.
Absolutely. I thought he was going to get like 1 to 2 probes, honestly, like the way that was going. But also he forces the Phoenixes to stay back for a moment. He knows exactly what's going on. He knows a 3rd Phoenix is being made. I feel like this gives him a little bit of an edge on getting that Banshee across the map.
Yep. Did he cancel Cloak?
I think
did.
he actually did cancel
Yeah.
Cloak there, yeah.
Does he know about the Robo or something? Because I feel like the Robo went down after the Hellions got
Yeah,
picked
no,
off.
I think it did, yeah.
That's a pretty crazy call, so maybe Spirit's like, I don't want to do it, but maybe it's not a good idea. And he's right, because it would not have been a good idea.
I still wanted to see it, Roddy. Sometimes those Phoenixes are across the map and you hit Cloak and he just doesn't see it fly in. Man, the damage can be real.
Very risky, though, to invest in double, because you basically need double Banshee, right? The single Banshee, the pros will just run towards the battery, and then it doesn't do anything. I think it would have been a little bit too risky. I think I actually like what Spirit ended up doing a little bit better. That triple CC very quickly, reactively, and then defending with Cyclone Viking. It's really hard to find damage with Phoenixes against Cyclone Viking.
Well, this one Banshee is going to come over here and still try to get some damage done.
2 or 3 probes is already magical, yeah.
Yeah, not too bad, not too bad. The Phoenixes are way over here dealing some damage to that Viking, but with the Cyclones locking on, they do have to run. A recall
This is a
out
god
here.
tier Banshee, man. 3 probes falling, all these probes not mining, a recall, probe number 4,
Dude.
probe number 5. Oh my goodness, that is actually such a good Banshee.
And Roddy, imagine if he had not canceled Cloak, like I said, man.
17 probes.
Yeah, he wins the game right there. It's done. Spirit goes on.
This single Banshee was actually amazing. That is so much more damage than obviously what would have happened if that Banshee would have been spotted by these Phoenixes. It would have just died. There's no way to save it.
Roddy, look at the bank on Spirit. Would Cloak have mattered here at all when he's sitting 300, 300? Oh, man. Missed opportunities for wins.
Yeah, but then the Vikings are a bit later, right? And there's a good chance you take some more damage from these Phoenixes. But in the end, the Phoenix still find a little bit of damage. I have the feeling that Spirit is thinking about a little push, but that would make absolutely no sense because the Colossus is about to come out. And I don't think we have that many units on the side of the Terran that we want to run to the other side of the map. I was a bit surprised to see him take that much damage against the Phoenixes there, but other than that, I still think this game is going perfectly fine for the Polish Terran.
Yeah, I think he's totally cool here. He's got his third base, landing down, dropping the mules, sending the SCVs, going up to those 5 barracks production, still waiting on stim and combat shields while the Phoenixes continue to fly around and do a bit of harassment. And look at that. Gets in once again, a couple more SCVs. The Phoenixes are doing a great job, honestly.
It's a great unit, Arthur.
Damn, that's crazy. You know what? You've sold me. Why do I ever make an Oracle?
You can be so lucky they're not in Broodborn, man. Otherwise, I'd be spamming Mario Radicals in your chat.
Oh, dude. Yeah, imagine if those actually existed. No, I'd uninstall. All right, we have a Prism on the way. Charge as well. And, yeah, looks like the macro is going to start here for Zoun.
Templar Archives, indeed. We're getting a few more Phoenixes, and I do feel that if a Phoenix count gets up to these numbers, I really don't hate seeing +1 air weapons, man. Like with 5 or 6 Phoenixes, it's not the most expensive upgrade in the game. It's 100. If you have 6 Phoenixes that attack twice, then I feel like at that point you may as well. But it does kind of feel that Zoun is gearing up for some sort of an attack. Despite the fact that he's going up to 4 bases, maybe like a Phoenix, Colossus, Archon, old school Zealot poke. If we can win the game, awesome. If not, we should be able to get a couple of SCVs and still be ahead. I think that's what Zoun is thinking, but he needs to be very careful, because if he loses the Colossus and he doesn't get what he's looking for, as one Phoenix will fall against these Cyclones, he'd be in serious trouble. He needs to be very careful here. Like, I see the potential in his attack, but he needs to be very cautious.
Right now, double medevac boost. Looks like he's going to go the long way around the map. Honestly, like this roaming, I don't feel like there's anything there.
Where's that
Like-
Lotus army going?
Yeah, it's like he's going around in a really funny direction to poke in. Maybe he wants to like poke in and recall or something, like kill a few SCVs. I don't really know, but this doesn't look like an attack that I want to see Zoun do.
It's almost like he heard the medevacs pick up or something, and he was looking for it in the top right side. Instead, the medevacs reveal themselves in the bottom left side where the War Prism. That has to be the most random spot that Zoun has ever lost a War Prism in his life.
Seriously.
It's like 9 minutes in, bottom left side. Like, what? Why? How?
Yeah. Definitely not what he was expecting there. Now those Phoenixes getting picked off a little bit more. A lot of damage going on to 2 of them.
The Phoenix are actually quite important, because the Phoenixes are there to protect these Colossus. Because if your Stalkers don't have Blink, Stalkers are terrible against Vikings. So it is really important to still maintain a decent Phoenix count until Blink is done and you actually can work with a lot of units that can protect these Colossus properly.
Well, right now, you know, look at the position that we're getting into. The one thing I'm confused about, it feels like they're both kind of moving their armories around in really funny ways. You know, those two medvacs along the bottom, catching the prism, and Zoun just keeps going towards the top right with his army, although there's really nothing there. I guess you have the watchtower in that area, so you can kind of get a little scout on. Leaves a zealot there as well. But it seems like Spirit is getting ready for a little bit of a move out. He does have a bigger army. He has a lot of tanks here like we saw in that last game. And he did very well with that previously.
Zoun is going into triple Stargate Fleet Beacon very quickly.
Yeah.
Here, man. Like, he's nowhere near maxed out. He's got a bit of money in the bank, but not that much gas. But he feels that it's already time to get ready for some proper late-game TVP. I have the feeling that one big fight is going to take place before we get there. And as amazing as carriers are, they take a long time to build, man. And if you're going to take a fight against a 2-2 Terran with Ghost and Viking, but you've got 18 or 20-something supplies stuck in Stargates because you're building carriers, like, this scan is great by Spirit. Because now I do feel that Spirit should absolutely move out as soon as he's got 2-2.
Well, you know what? If you get scanned on that, I feel like you actually just add on to your ground army. Like, if you start 3 carriers after you get scanned right there, and your opponent just hits that timing very nicely, that's going to be tough. Oh, it's going to be Tempest. Never mind. Just make them.
Well, he goes for the Tempest upgrade, right? That's okay, there is the first Tempest. Yeah, no.
Dude, if he gets Tempest upgrade and then makes 3 carriers, I don't even know what to say about that one. But look, I like the Tempest. With the Tempest, you can really kind of grind down on a defensive way when they're trying to attack into you.
You know, the only situation that I ever loved Tempest, Dan, is the way that Neeb used to play it, with like an obnoxious amount of cannons and batteries and pylons in the center of the map. Then I see the true power of Tempest, and I do think you always need Storm as well, though. Otherwise, the Vikings will just do the Viking flower thing and one-shot your Tempest.
If you remember, Trap had like a Tempest-based strategy that was like Storm Charge Tempest at one point in time when he was the best Protoss in the world. That was like pretty legit.
But Storm is super important. He doesn't have Storm, though, right? Or am I crazy?
No, he doesn't have Storm yet.
It's kind of important to get Storm, because otherwise this is going to be really awkward, I think.
No, I think he'll end up getting it. Like, he has the Templar Archives. Like, you can, like, the Archons are, like, somewhat useful right now, but definitely I do agree with you on that one. But look, I think you mentioned that you really like the way Neeb used to play it. That is the truest, like, way to play late game PvT, if you ask me. Like, that was the ultimate composition and the ultimate way to grind somebody down. I really, really enjoyed that. And anytime anyone approximates that, I'm like, yes. This is something that theoretically could be unbeatable.
No, absolutely. And it's super obnoxious to play against if you're a Terran player, by the way. Like, it has to be one of the most infuriating things ever. An Oracle flying in, revelating your army. You try to pick off a Tempest, but there are random Nexi in the center of the map. You drop an overcharge on a battery. It's like one of the most annoying things to possibly go up against. So we have a couple of Zealots going for a tiny run by, and they do somehow get the Sensor Tower, but that's about it. Do we still have these medevacs on the left side? Yes, in the bottom left side, a triple drop. That triple drop has a lot of potential because Zoun's army is not very mobile, right? It's actually very slow at this point. And I don't know if there's a recall available. There should be, but he actually recalls random units quite often. Here comes a triple drop. Let's see what Spirit can get done.
Well, he's going to get a few probes here. I don't think he's going to get the Nexus or anything. You know, we do have some cannons sitting there as well. The Phoenix is coming back to kind of chase those medevacs out also. Well, no, actually, he just uses them for the lifts. Not that much damage, but... Oh. Dude, he's going for a Reddit clip right there.
Well, it seems that Zoun saw the red dot as he's already putting a couple of probes away. A few Zealots have no regard for this nuke. One of them is going to pay the price with his life. Tempest will take care of one of the medevacs, and a couple of bio units get picked off here. But Spirit is obviously okay at this point, but slowly but steadily losing some of the bio units and just getting more Vikings and more Ghosts, because that is what this game is all about at this point.
No, the game is all about that Yamato cannon upgrade, okay? The game is all about battle cruisers versus Sky Toss. Oh my god. I wish Nathanius was here.
I mean, yeah, we could definitely see it eventually. BCs, if you have 3-3 upgrades, are indeed very good against Protoss. This is very hard to get there. Yeah, it does seem that we could potentially get there, since Zoun's obviously playing very defensive. Spirit has dropped a defensive nuke. I hope he cancels that nuke, by the way, because that was in range of a couple of things.
Imagine if you forget to do that one, man. Like, he just happens to hit you somewhere else. You're like, oh no!
You still get that Reddit clip you mentioned.
Yeah, that's for all the wrong reasons, unfortunately.
Obviously, Liberators are great as well. Liberators with +2, that's a magical upgrade, because then if you land an EMP on the Stalkers, the Liberators will one-shot Stalkers. Obviously, losing Stalkers to single shots of Liberators is very painful on the Protoss side of things.
I would say so.
4 more starports, there we go.
I am so excited, Roddy. Like, you literally, you don't even understand. It's like Zoun is doing my favorite thing with Protoss, and Spirit is doing my favorite thing with Terran. Capital ships, man. This is what StarCraft truly was meant to be.
Not sure if I totally agree, but I do think we're gonna get there. I think you spot on the Nova. Oh my goodness, that is one hell of a Nova. 4 or 5 goals going down. Look at the supplies, by the way. Spirit, man. Spirit has to be careful before he starts dreaming about these battle cruises like you're dreaming about these battle cruises then. It's important that he keeps on making units because he just lost a lot of supply.
You need to lose a lot of supply to make a lot of battle cruisers, all right? That was a tactical loss of those ghosts to that Nova. But no, seriously, he does need to be a little bit careful here. Like, when is he going to start the BCs? Is he just going to upgrade a little bit and be ready for that transition, you think?
I'm not totally sure. Because now we're making Marauders, and I'm kind of confused about the Marauders. Especially after we just donated a whole bunch of them. We also lost a lot of goals. Vikings trying to get some hits off. I'm a bit confused, but there we go. 4 battle cruisers do get fired up. Advanced Ballistics is close to finishing up as well.
Dude, there it is, man. I am so excited about this. He is starting to pick off some of these Tempests, but you see that beautiful Psy Storm just peppering those Vikings with damage.
It's a lot of tanks, by the way. It's hard.
Yeah.
Okay, that's the worst nuke I've ever seen in my life.
Wait, where is it? I didn't see it.
Maybe that's just a nuke to create chaos, by the way. There's a good chance he does this on purpose. So Zoun gets the alert, and Zoun starts looking around the entire map, like, where am I getting nuked?
Yeah.
And then there is actually no nuke.
Dude, there's a lot of mind games, actually, with nukes involved, that's for sure. The Vikings actually doing a pretty good job one-volleying off a Colossus there, getting rid of another Tempest. And, of course, with those siege tanks, like this composition that Spirit's making, so incredibly hard to attack. Reptile crate?
It's Neil.
It's just got a lizard in there? Like, wow, that's sick. Okay. So this is like a ZVPVT. Excellent.
Yeah. Obviously, the nuke looked very silly, but he was indeed never going to land that. That's just to give Zoun the alert that the nuclear missile has been dropped, and it's actually very annoying as a Protoss player. Especially, we cannot forget that this is obviously a streamed game. A lot of people are watching. You feel nervous already. The last thing you want to get done is get nuked. Like, because that's just the worst feeling in the world in a game that a lot of people are watching. So dropping random nukes that, obviously have no intention to actually go up is a pretty good way to really stress a Protoss player out.
Yeah, you don't want to be a highlight reel, right? It's like you don't want to be in the dunk poster from an NBA player, that type of thing. Now the battlecruiser's actually flying up through the Stalkers. Ooh, he gets out of there just in time, jumps away. But at least you see that there's battlecruisers on the map now.
You really see that these BCs only had +1 armor there, by the way, because those Stalkers did a silly amount of damage against the BCs, and one of them almost died. Spirit is really utilizing these tanks in an excellent manner, just making it so damn hard for Zoun to get in range. I do believe a single nuke will get very close to going off there as the Vikings get in range, pick off a Tempest, get a Colossus as well, and it does feel that Zoun is pretty desperate to find some damage, but he's not really finding a whole lot.
Yeah, I think he might be getting a little bit nervous about the battlecruisers. Honestly, I don't know. He wasn't super active for that like weird 2-week period where people actually did this. You remember that period, Roddy?
There's definitely been, I mean, Spirit has always been a fan. It's just that there are not many maps that actually allow him to do this.
The battlecruiser stuff? Yeah.
And honestly, it on Stargazers a lot. In the previous map, Stargazers was like his go-to BC map. But go on.
Well, I'm just saying, like, at least in Korea, there was literally a 2-week period where TY did it a bit, and, like, he was the best at it by far, and it was, like, really neat and interesting, and there was, like a little meta evolution where it was like, okay, you need 2 different areas that have cannons and batteries, and you need a mothership so that you have double recall, right? Like, it was that type of weird thing because all the jumping and like this. You jump in, you Yamato everything, and it's like, you got to get out of there.
Yep, and as a Protoss, you definitely want to be near a couple of cannons and batteries to make sure that your units stay alive a little bit longer. We had a couple of Novas go down. There is not a whole lot of bio remaining. Without a battery overcharge, that would have been a pretty awful fight for Zoun, by the way. A lot of units would have gone down. But now one thing that is a bit problematic is that a lot of these carriers are already very close to dying. You can see it there. The Vikings one-shot it immediately. And you really don't want to start a game-deciding fight eventually with a bunch of carriers that have no real HP and only shields.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. It looks like he's going to remake a lot of this now, continuing all sorts of upgrades, more disruptors, a lot more carriers being made as well. Look at this, 11 DTs coming in as DT Blink is almost finished. So maybe you can start picking off some of these fringe bases now.
That rich Vespian guys, it really helps Spirit, by the way, to play this style, because that is, I think, the one thing that you normally lack as a Terran player, to have that amount of gas and still be competitive and be able to upgrade your BCs and get all these starports. But yeah, he's actually getting there, and we have said for the longest time that Mass BC fully upgraded is indeed incredibly good. It's just almost impossible as a Terran to get there without being very far behind. But Spirit has kind of done that.
Yeah.
So at this point, you would say that this is kind of his game to lose.
Well,
right?
he's got the upgrades and everything, but we do have 3 more Stargates coming up. So certainly Zoun's still serious about the air battles. Now look at this. Oh my God, the DT's just going to go ahead and blink in on top of this planetary. He is going to be able to pick that off, starting to deal some serious damage. But what's happening in the main battle?
A couple of Yamatos are going to go down. Vikings will take care of one more Colossus, and it seems that we have plenty of Tempest on the way. And for Zoun, I think it's all about making sure that he will never take a crazy fight too far away from cannons or a warp in place. Because how many gateways do we work with right now, for instance? It's very hard as a Protoss to win the fight against the BCs. But what you can do is like soak up a couple of those Yamatos, take out a couple of BCs, and then you warp in 20 additional Stalkers. And that can absolutely make the difference.
Absolutely. Other than that, I feel it's a lot about running around with your army, blinking away when the BCs come, and just trying to get them to like teleport around and waste those. Now this is a great offensive blink right there. Kills one of the BCs, deals a lot of damage to the second one, and now he can continue on both sides. The DT's coming back down to the south while his army is in the top right.
Yep. Spirit is not maxed out, and you obviously want to be maxed out when you play this style, and you want to make sure you have a bit of a bank as well. As this time around, the armies are getting dangerously close. A lot of these battle cruisers obviously cannot use teleport because they just used it. A few carriers are incredibly low on HP. All of them do survive. The DTs are finding a lot of success here in the bottom side of the map.
Yeah, they are. He has lost quite a few of them, like 7, 8 DTs there, but he's dealing that damage, getting rid of a lot of the SCVs. And right now, like, Spirit is very, very low on gas. He's kind of being forced into some more Marine Marauder, which
he doesn't want to. He wants more BCs.
He doesn't. Like, literally, I think he wants almost only BC at this point.
Yep. We've seen some crazy games with, I don't know, 15+ battle cruisers. That is just an army that's incredibly difficult as a Protoss to take care of. Some people think, like, what about Storm? But yeah, Storm's really not all that great, unless all of them stack up. But battle cruisers simply have a bit too much HP, as they tried to get a couple of Yamatos off, but it seems that the recall went off just in time. Quite a few Stalkers will fall, though, in the process. Like, we have to keep an eye on the bank of Zoun as well, because you may look at this and be like, 2,400 gas, that's a lot of gas, but that's actually not a lot of gas. If you lose a whole bunch of carriers and Dark Templars, that is not enough gas to remake the army that he's currently running around with, for instance.
Yeah, this is not one of those PVZs that we've seen with a 10K bank. they cannot replace these armies completely. Now, the Tempest actually doing a very good job there, putting a lot of damage on the BCs. Spirit backs up.
Yeah, I think as long as Spirit can actually mine from this base at 6 o'clock, and I'm surprised, by the way, that he didn't mine out those gold mineral patches yet in between. It feels like it would make his life so much easier. And Zoun is now going to try to chase down these battle cruisers. One of them did go down. That's obviously an expensive loss. A couple of the tanks get picked off. A second BC will fall. It's very important that Zoun, by the way, keeps some splash damage, right? Like a couple of High Templars with Storm are kind of mandatory, because if 43-3 Marines all of a sudden show up and they stim forward, well, they will absolutely wipe the floor with a Stalker Tempest carrier on.
That's for sure. But, you know, he does have these disruptors in there, which can help out. I do prefer the High Templars as well, but these are EMP-proof at least, in case he is trying to add that into his composition. Now, these are some insane battles that we're seeing. Zoun is really doing a good job of pushing Spirit back, it did feel, I was kind of on your side there, where I was like, yeah, Spirit's looking pretty good with these army comps, but he's being boxed in pretty hard.
Yep. One thing we have to mention as well, though, is the amount of workers that both players have. You can say, like, it's great for Zoun that he's got 69 probes and Spirit only has 21 SCVs, and obviously since Spirit doesn't have that much money and isn't quite maxed out, it is a bit of a problem, but if Spirit is able to max out and he shows up with a 181 army supply,
oh god,
it's almost impossible for Zoun to take a great fight against a Terran that shows up with 180 army supply.
Dude, the super max is like insane when you start getting that much army supply. That's like not even something that you're supposed to see, man. That's I don't even know.
Can we take a look at the amount of High Templar? Oh my god, only a single High Templar, and we do have the 3 Disruptors, but we are back up to 84 Marines, Artosis. 84 Marines. If that steams forward, it's going to be so freaking hard for Zoun to deal with that.
Well, I tell you what, that really means that right now the Disruptors are worth so much. What an important unit in this army for him.
84 Marines is so many.
Yeah, does he have even a medevac? He has 2 medevacs. Okay, that's plenty for 84 Marines.
Well, here comes the guy with the gun. As we throw down a scan, and Spirit is obviously hoping not to see too many splash units, and he sees a couple of the Disruptors, but I think he's very happy to not see too many High Templars. Here comes the Bio. He steams forward. One Nova doesn't even go off because the DPS of these Bio units is too high.
Oh my god, but he flanks from both sides. Zoun absolutely surrounded. Spirit coming in with his maxed army. Is he going to be able to actually break through, though? That is a huge amount of bio. The carrier's trying to get away, being picked off so quickly. Only a few Tempests and maybe one carrier are going to make it out.
If all else fails, there's always the guy with the gun. But Zoun obviously now has time to warp in a couple of High Templars and to get ready for the real problem. That's no longer the battle cruisers. That was actually all these bio units. And the fact that Spirit only had 2 medevacs is truly hurting him now, right? Because every single stim hurts this bio army so freaking much. Spirit may have won that battle, but is that enough to win the war? It doesn't look like it.
Yeah, I don't think so. Like, that battle did go so much in his favor, but look at the production tab. Tons of units being made right now for Zoun, as well as 6 more carriers. What do we have over on Spirit's side? We have no bank, 17 workers. Like, I mean, he's roaming around. He's killing off some bases and whatnot, but this, I don't think he can kill that.
We have a couple of Tempest shots going down and a single battlecruiser falls. The Vikings not quite being able to get in range because the Stalker positioning was excellent there for Zoun. With only 2 medevacs, you're not. We have 4 medevacs now and there are 3 more on the way. So with 7 medevacs, his bio army suddenly does become a whole lot more terrifying again. But Zoun now just needs to forget about the craziness we saw in the last 10 minutes. Forget about the Vikings, forget about the BCs, and just get ready to take out Marine Marauder Ghosts. And as long as he can do that, we are heading into a Game 5.
Well, you know, he's got a fair amount of Disruptors in here. He's got great upgrades on his units as well. I don't think it's going to be too hard for him, but let's see. He attacks in, and it's a great arc. There's a lot of units here. Oh, that's a huge disruption, and GG is called. We are going to game number 5, Roddy.
A 28-minute game on Neo Humanity after a 12-hour day of StarCraft 2. Artosis, don't even ask me about all the things that happened there because I already forgot half of it. I know it was crazy. I know we saw a bit of everything. Game 5 it is.
Roddy, I know you're thinking about the 3rd series, game number 2 today. If you want to fill us in about that and what that was.
The 3rd series today? That's a long time ago, Dan.
Dude, that's like 12 hours.
I think that was a ZVZ between Elaser and Soup. Nice 2-0 though for Elaser.
You know what? You got to get your dumb memory out of here, man.
Why?
Trying to show everybody
You're
up.
asking me.
God.
Yeah, you were asking.
You're some sort of savant with that thing, man. I can't remember what I had for lunch. All right, so Spirit versus Zoun, like that was an insane game. I'm so happy that it turned into battle cruisers against like Tempest, Carrier, and then it went back into Marines for some reason. We had a huge flank, but it didn't matter.
If we just had a few more medevacs, though, that would have been sick. Because I did actually really like the idea of going back into full bio and hiding it a little bit, but...
Roddy, I know you're friends with a lot of the Zerg Cabal, so like if I could give you a suggestion that you could give to them, what if after 30 minutes, all the minerals reappeared on the map? So that we could have just kept going battle cruiser against carrier. When we run out of money, that's no fun. You want to see those capital ships go at it.
It's mostly because of the DTs, right? If it wasn't for the DTs, I think we would have had way more capital ships.
Certainly. Well, I mean, he won anyways. So really what we needed was more BCs. That's the real problem.
Yeah, but the reason we couldn't get more BCs is because of the stupid Dark Templars.
Yeah, no, the Dark Templars did ruin some things, but he was flying up the right side. How many times did he get blinked under when he was flying up the right side? It's like, dude, that's a dangerous area. That's a no-fly zone. Stop that. Or be ready to get out. And he just wasn't. He lost BC after BC there. If he was a true BC enjoyer...
You're losing it then.
Dude, he would... The way that you do it, you make another turret and you push up another tank and you keep going like that, okay? Very slowly across the map. You grind with those Yamatos.
All right. Yes. We could have had that, but then we would have been stuck in Neo-Humanity for another 25 minutes.
Yeah, that's for sure. Yeah, well, I wish we were still there, honestly.
I don't know if I believe you. Our final game is going to be played on Royal Blood. Pretty big map then with a lot of bases, so...
Dude, could it happen once again?
No.
Yeah, I think the way that game went for Spirit, there's not much of a chance that he'll be like, well, I should go Battlecruiser again.
I think you're right.
That worked really well. The Marine flank at the end, I should have just done that earlier.
Should have trusted in the guy with the gun. Pretty wild game, pretty wild series. For the second time today, Spirit finds himself in Game 5 of a qualifying match. We're obviously having a bit of fun here, but for these guys, this is a very important game. You win, you get to come back tomorrow or the next day. You get to play 5 more best of 3s and test yourself against the best StarCraft 2 players in the world. You lose here, it is all over. Your Into Extreme Masters Katowice 2023 ends here. And that's obviously pretty heartbreaking for these guys.
Yeah, everyone wants to do their best, win a lot of money, win a lot of fame. And they're going to show their absolute best on this map. I mean, I'm sure that they're starting to get tired at this point. Both of them have had multiple long games today as well. So we'll see who has that stamina to end up winning here in the top right of Royal Blood. It is none other than Spirit.
And in the bottom left side, the main base of the man who made some Tempest to make Artosis happy in Game 4, but then made DTs to make Artosis less happy. It's Alpha Axis Zoun.
I know. Why are you harassing that economy? Let's just get those ships. Let's make a box art battle, okay? Land a Viking during it and stuff, right? You got like one of every unit. It would just be amazing.
I never think about it. But having a single sentry against that many BCs, actually pretty sick.
That would be good.
Having like a little Guardian shield against
Dude, that's a lot of damage preventing. That's pretty crazy, actually. That's like...
It's just really hard to get
That's a very important point there, Roddy. Remember the old like Phoenix versus Phoenix PvPs where you'd bring one sentry with it as well?
It's still good. It's actually really hard to kill that sentry in Phoenix against Phoenix, because if you lift the sentry and you right-click it with your Phoenix, but all of your Phoenix shoot at the sentry, you're wasting so much damage as well.
If it's under their Phoenixes, it's hard to click anyways. So it's like...
Yeah, because then you lift it and it's in the middle of 20 other Phoenix.
Did you dive in to get that? Well, his Phoenix has just got all these extra hits.
No, for sure. That is still a thing, unfortunately. eBay block, Dan. Are you a fan of the eBay blocks?
I do like eBay block, but it's like a little bit figured out. I don't know a single Protoss that doesn't bring exactly 4 probes to deal with it, you know? And when it's that figured out, I feel like I would want to do the math on it and just be like, is this good or bad?
We actually lost the SCV right on the other side of the map on Team Spirit. That was a little bit sloppy because getting the eBay cancelled without really preventing the Nexus from going up for too long, that's not that bad because it's still somewhat annoying to pull the X amount of probes. But losing the SCV, that's just something that's not supposed to happen. Zoun didn't even make the Zealot, by the way. This wasn't even one of these builds where at least the Zealot got the SCV. No, it's the probes that got the SCV. I can't fault Spirit too much for it. It's obviously been a long day and it's hard for these guys to be as sharp as they were 12 hours ago, but not the start you're looking for as a Terran.
Well, is there anything that you want to see here out of Zoun in this game? If you, let's say, now I know, Roddy, that you're rooting for your boy Spirit here, but if you want to see Zoun take him down in Game 5, they're both tired. What do you do?
I want to stop you there, you know, because according to some people, I'm rooting for Zoun here because I'm a Protoss lover. But according to you, I'm rooting for Spirit.
Oh, Roddy, I've known you so much longer than these people that say the other stuff. Like, you're a European and you root for Europeans, man.
No, I root for good StarCraft, then.
Well, that's for sure. Well, this is good StarCraft already, so you don't even need to root for it.
We've got a Stargate more than halfway done as the Adept is taking a lot of shots. Beautiful Marine movement there by Spirit, getting the right amount of shots off. That's pretty big. That makes you forget about the SCV loss real quick.
Yeah, absolutely. Keeping your Marine alive and everything here.
Okay, but to answer your question, what I'd love to see from Zoun, I would honestly, at the end of a long day like this, open up with a couple of Phoenixes, then get a Twilight Council, get a quick charge, and then just A-move with 8-gate
Really?
Phoenix Cell, 3 base. Yeah, absolutely.
I know the build, yeah.
It's a good build.
I remember like when the charge buff came in, everyone trying that every game, and no one could really make it work. Like maybe it was working on ladder, but in tournaments, man, its win rate was very low.
Yeah. Widowmines are pretty good against it.
Yeah, that's true.
And they do often make them. This is actually kind of an interesting move out, not something we see a whole lot. Spirit sending his first Marines all the way to the other side of the map. Yeah, the Oracle is going to kind of pass this army in. The shield battery is not quite done yet. This Oracle needs to turn around, Artosis.
Yeah, it really does. The third Adept is coming down right now, which will help out a little bit. Turns on the Oracle and actually targeting down on the Adepts. But how many kills can we get with these Hellions? It feels like this was the aim here for Spirit.
Well, we got 3, and I think that is what it's going to be. I'm actually surprised that at one point he changed target fire from the Oracle into the Adepts, because I think the Marine DPS was high enough to win the fight against that Oracle. But more importantly, we have an armory that's already finishing up, and Zoun does not quite know about this follow-up yet. He is keeping the Phoenix at home, but don't forget that that Oracle barely has any energy, as our observer Mapu is showing us as well. Who's done a tremendous job, by the way, Mapu. Long day for you as well, but you're still catching everything. But this could hurt, Dan, because these Widowmines are the permanently cloaked boys, as I like to call them. And if he can drop 1 or 2 in the natural and 1 or 2 in the main base, this is really bad for Zoun.
Yeah, let's see. Goes ahead, and we get a couple lifts. Ooh, 9 probes killed already here. So much pain. Wait. Okay, yeah, that one gets picked off.
Oracle, there's still 1 Widowmine in the natural that hasn't fired yet. If the Oracle flies over that Widowmine, it could honestly be game over. It does seem that Zoun kind of knows about it. But the damage has already been done. Like, we don't even have enough revelations to reveal all of them. The mines in the natural will fire again.
Oh,
10
no.
probes is already fantastic, but I think 4 or 5 additional probes will fall here. Make it 5. This hurts for Zoun.
How did he not? You know what? I think the one that unburrowed, he thought that was the one. Like because every Protoss knows the countdown timer. Like, you know when to pull your probes right there. So I think Zoun, he lost track of what was going on.
And it's not that hard to lose track against, because there's so much craziness. You panic, and then you see that one big explosion, and at that point you don't even know anymore. And then the only thing you try to take care of is make sure that there is not a cloaked Widowmine in both bases. So at least he took care of the one in the main base. But yeah, perhaps he just forgot about that one. There are way more Widowmines heading his way. And don't forget that the Phoenixes don't even have that much energy either. Zoun is just in all sorts of trouble. Spirit is getting a little bit of Piotr magic here. Triple medevac Widowmine drop, but triple Widowmine in the natural. 6 additional probes. A lot of lost mining time. Artie McTulsis.
He lost a Stalker there as well, man, which he really kind of needs right now. The Phoenixes can push back some of these medevacs. Oh, he gets the tag, but he doesn't chase it down. He turns around for this one, which is going to unload, and we have the double pickup. So it looks like the harassment is like kind of done, but he's at 37 workers against 51. That's not... Look at the production tab, Roddy. Look at that.
It's very sad. It's a Nexus and 2 probes. 12 workers down. And don't forget that Zoun's army right now is just kind of useless, right? The only thing he has are a couple of Phoenixes. And I'm a Phoenix lover, but it's Phoenix and something else, Artosis.
Yeah.
It's not just Phoenix.
Roddy has 2 Adepts.
Not so good when Stim is done on the other side of the map. And it seems that Spirit is just going to try one more time, because he's like, you know what? All of this went so damn well. And he's still building Widowmines, by the way. You gotta love that.
Yeah, why not? Your opponent is making Phoenixes still, and you might be able to get more damage as well. There is, I mean, this is decent harassment. You know the Zoun is trying as best he can to make up for some of the damage he's taken. Mine gets dropped here at that 3rd Nexus warping in. I think he did see that, so sits back with his probe for a moment.
Zoun didn't have enough free supply to actually queue up a Colossus, so he's forced to get extended thermal lens before the Colossus. But I have a hard time imagining that that is on purpose, because he really needs a couple of units out right now. He's down 20 army supply, and basically his entire army supply right now are Phoenixes that have no energy. This double drop has potential to just end the game, because Zoun has 0 firepower in his army. army. Artol says this could very well be the end of Zoun at the Intel Extreme Masters Katowice 2023.
Dude, he can't even clean that up. He's got like 4 units right now. This is so rough. He comes in with everything he has. The Phoenix is coming up. Thermalant's gone. I mean, he has a Colossus on the way, but he can't even defeat the double drop. I think Spirit is going to be going to the group stage.
We've got more units heading towards that 6 o'clock base as well. Spirit made it into the group stage last year at IEM Katowice, and it seems like it is back-to-back appearances for this man from Poland. As the Oracle falls to the Widow Mine, more probes will fall, and that will do it. Spirit qualifies for the round of 24.
Dude, it was hard fought. He had a couple